Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today is Wednesday, September 29, 2021, and this is What's Happening Dracut. Hi, folks. I'm your host for this evening, John Zimini, and we've got a bang-up show for you tonight. We've got some real special guests in the house. We've got our regular co-hosts here, but we wanted to just tell you that we are coming to you live from our overly ostentatious studios here at Dracut Access Television, DATV, and we are located at Mill Street in Dracut, Massachusetts. We got a great show, folks. There's so much going on here. Phil Thibault tonight is not in the house. Phil banged out because he's in a golf tournament, a charity golf tournament, and we respect that very much. Yeah, he's out there, being involved in a charity contest somewhere along the line, and he's loving his. He's been posting pictures all day of how nice it is out on the golf course, But we have the number one guy in town, who's the Teflon Don of politics in Dracut. He doesn't get hit by the Board of Selectmen. They love him. The one, the only, Gordy Scott. How you doing, Gordy?
Very good, very good.
Here he is, Gordon Scott in the house. Jen, he's got to run. He's got to run for selectman. He's a no-brainer. He's going to win because even the Board of Selectmen love him. They don't whack him. I get the whacks. Phil gets the whacks. Tammy gets the whack. And then we have our resident gentleman in the house who's 17-year-old going on 47, and he's our guy that does a lot of work for us. We really appreciate him. We call him our Cub reporter. He's becoming more of an ace than you can believe. Here he is, Richard Silvio.
Hey, John, how are you? It's great to be here this evening.
Are they throwing milk cartons yet at you?
Well, you know what? They can't. I'm so young. I have a protection shield around me. It's fantastic. My age protects me. It's great.
By the way, you're not very popular in the schools.
I know.
No kidding. And our special guest, our special legend of Dracut, Don Moose Morosky is in the house.
How are we doing, John?
Do you have a mic on,
Moose? You got to get
Gordy,
your mic
you didn't even.
Oh, it's behind right there, John.
Oh, here we go.
Technical difficulties.
We got a little technical difficulty going on.
One moment.
Moose, we'll raise this up. We'll put this here.
Really, we have a wonderfully action-packed show this evening.
I'm going to blame Gary Muse for this because he's in the house tonight, and you would think he's like the guy directing the cameras.
No, I would not. I will take the blame on that.
Right.
No business like show business.
John, you got to realize I'm Polish. So.
That's all right. But folks, we want to talk a little bit about some of the things here tonight. We have a big agenda on SAP here tonight, but we are your political source for political information in the town of Dracut. We will tell you the stuff that the regular embedded politicians don't want you to hear. We'll go behind the scenes. We'll get the real story to what's going on, and we'll give you information.
We're the Fox News of Dracut.
We're the Fox News of Dracut, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. But you can reach us here, folks, at 978-957-4243. And to join in on the fun if you want to join in. I mean, please, don't listen to the reverberations that come back at you. Try to shut your TV off so it can help. But we're here to give you the information that taxpayers and voters need to go forward. You can also reach us by going live streaming on our DATV website located at dracuttv.org. And Phil will be proud of me that I got it right tonight, right, Richard? He'll be proud of me that I got it right tonight. And you can also catch us, if you're watching us live here and you can't get us too good on Channel 8, switch to Facebook. For whatever reason, you might be having problems with your equipment at home and not know it. But we are glad to be here at any rate. Richard,
did you say the phone number yet, John?
What's the phone number?
It is 97. I'm looking at you too.
Go ahead.
It is 978-957-4243.
Wow, he's good.
Didn't even look at the screen, ladies and gentlemen. Did not even look at the screen.
He is getting better at this all the time. So if you have any questions or concerns or comments, absolutely call us or go on Facebook and send us a message. We'll be happy to answer you. We also have not a website, but we also have a email address at what'shappeningdracut@gmail.com, and you can send us any kind of comments, or if you want us to hunt down a particular story, you're welcome to do that. So, Gordy, how's your life going right now?
Very good. I'm just honored to be sitting next to the one and only Moose Morowski.
Yeah.
We live in the same neighborhood, so every once in a while I'll stop by and have a chat.
Yeah.
Glad he's doing well. His health is good.
Well, I'm not there yet.
But you're getting better, right?
I will be there. I'm only 82.
God bless Moose.
Yeah.
But before we get into talking to Moose and why Moose is here tonight, we wanted to hear from our resident weatherman from, what is it, Mill City Weather. Mm-hmm. Let's hear the 8-day report from Sean Kelly. Take it away, Sean.
Hi, John. Thanks for having me on tonight. And here's a look at the forecast for tonight. Cloudy out there tonight, 50 degrees. We're going to drop to tonight, so no more 60s for the overnight low temps. Getting into that fall weather, of course. More refreshing, too, especially as it was today. Winds are going to be coming out of the west, northwest at 5 to 10 miles an hour. And then as we head into tomorrow, of course, 62 degrees for a high temp. There is a chance of a few afternoon showers later on in the afternoon, anytime after 12 or 1 o'clock. Cloudy for the morning hours, and then as we head into the afternoon hours, again, chance for a few showers later on in the afternoon. Wind's not going to be that bad either at 5 to 10 miles an hour. And then as we head into Thursday night, we're going to drop it down into the 40s. So it's that time of year, of course. Could get a frost later on within the next 2 to 3 weeks. So we're going to have to watch that. But again, overnight low temps start to get into the 40s. Not uncommon for this time of year, of course. And here's a look at your exclusive 8-day forecast. So again, transfer those afternoon showers as we into Thursday afternoon. And then as we look into the weekend, it looks very nice right now with temps in the 60s for the remainder of the week. And that's the forecast for everyone. Back to you guys in the studio.
Good evening, folks. How you doing? We're back again, and we're here live once again at the overly ostentatious studios here at Dracut Access Television. And we got with us tonight the legend of Dracut football, one of the legends of Dracut football here in Dracut. He's been around for many, many years on all the different circuits. He's been a coach. He's been a consultant to the famous Ed Murphy, and he's also coached Pop Warner, and he's been an assessor here in town for over 13 years. He was an assessor in the days when it was tougher to do the assessing than it is today. He's been a candidate for Board of Selectmen, and he's an all-around great guy. He runs he ran the concession stand down at Veterans Park. He's just got a plethora of information. But he's here tonight because our football coach had a little problem down at the field and couldn't come down. He was scheduled to be here. The football coach, Jeremiah Mckenzie, am I saying it right?
That's
McKenzie?
correct.
And we're going to get him on at a later date. But right now, we're going to turn to Moose and Gordy and Richard. We're going to get into a little conversation about Dracut High School football.
Oh, fantastic.
So, and we know that Richard is a real aficionado on football.
Oh, absolutely.
So just sit
I
there.
haven't seen him in a football game yet, though.
Oh, no.
So, Moose, how you doing? Everything good?
I'm not that, where I should be, but I'm getting there.
For 82, you're doing all right. You're
Yeah.
kicking some butt. I understand you're going down to the spaghetti dinners the last week or so. And
The last couple of weeks I've been going, but
yeah.
tomorrow would be a good section to go because I'm going to do some ass kicking, and I get the, I get the okay from the coach and Coach Mckenzie.
Yeah.
Uh,
So tell us a little bit about your interaction with Coach Mckenzie. How'd that all come about?
That came about 3 weeks ago. I got a call from the athletic director. I like to go to lunch with the new football coach. Well, I said, new football coach? Yeah. I said, yeah, I'll go to lunch with you. And it happened to be at the Leatherman Club golf tournament. So Coach Mckenzie sat next to me, and the athletic director, Paula Chauncey, was right there beside him. And we went over, he introduced, first of all, I said, welcome to Dracut. And then we got into a conversation about Dracut football. And, the first thing I asked him, what schools did you coach at? Where did you go to school, and so forth. He explained that. So I said, Coach, now what is the plan for Dracut football? And he went over an extensive plan that it's not just football. He wants to get out into the public. He wants the kids to get out, do some talking. He wants the kids to go to the Pop Warner games. He actually wants the kids to go everywhere, to be truthful with you. But then we got into the meat and potatoes of Dracut High School football, which has been horrendous for the last few years. I'm going back to when Coach was at Rivers left, and things really just spiraled down. And you know, the first thing out of people's mouth is always the Corvus 19. Well, don't give me that baloney, because the Corvus 19 was for every school in the Massachusetts. So that wasn't, you know, I didn't take that as Coach Mckenzie didn't say that. I had other people saying that. So we got into it, and I said, you know what you're getting into. Yeah, I know what I'm getting into. I know the schedule, and the schedule was a very, very rigid one. If you just notice, I mean, I'm jumping around here. The Chempstead game, the team come up in 4 buses, 150 football players. Well, when Coach Mckenzie took over, he had 33.
What's he up to now?
Now he's up to 45.
So tell us what his background is. Where did he coach? He coached at Ringe? Was it Ringe?
No, he
Cambridge
went to
Ringe?
school at Ringe and graduated Boston Latin for some reason. I never got into that. He coached up at Bishop Bradley up in New Hampshire.
Right.
And then he left there and he went over to Air, and then he left to come over here. That's when I said, you're coming over to a rough situation. He said, I understand. He said, we're at rock bottom right now. And my plan is to start from day one and basically go over his offense, his defense, and so forth. So I said, what is your offense and defense? Well, he says, I got to, see what I have for talent, which he's seen some of it just before he met with me. And he said, well, we'll have to adjust my offense and we'll have to adjust my defense. Understandable. And then you run into the schedule now, and he's got them in school. He's got them, the kids are going to all the sporting events. He's got the kids on Friday, no more game shirts. They wear white shirts or shirts with ties.
Wow, so he's got them in a dress code.
He's got them in it's a little thing, but
well, those little things count, right?
Yeah,
Don't
absolutely.
They count
Absolutely.
because it goes towards the discipline of the team. So the discipline of the team off the field relates to on the field.
Yep.
Right? As a coach, I know that we do the same thing.
That's correct.
You know?
And at the spaghetti suppers and all that, the team is, you got to be 6 feet apart and so forth. And you get 8 parents that are second to nobody with that spaghetti supper. Man, what an operation they got. And they feed them kids, and they love it, and they love the desserts and so forth. But make a long story short, I kind of read it, to them, you kids got to get, you're a special kid now, because you get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, you get ready, get a bus to go to school. Most kids maybe drive to school. I couldn't tell you how many of that happens. And then they're in school, and they're out at, 2:30 or so? And they don't their practices are at 4:30 because there's so much going on in them fields. I mean, both fields, both new turf fields going
So
on.
you went out during the last couple of weeks, and you got the football coach to come on with us tonight.
Yeah,
And
he was coming on.
You got a call late this afternoon.
I got a call late this afternoon. Believe me, he calls me Moose. I said, yes, Coach. And he said, I got some bad news. I didn't know what he was going to tell me.
Yeah.
And he said, the conflict is, I guess, soccer or girls' soccer or something has got the field. So I'm backed up on time for practice.
Yeah.
And he said, I got to practice with the team. I mean, this is probably the most important day of the week because tomorrow will be dress rehearsal and so forth. And he said, at a later date, we sit down and we discuss, and I will most certainly come on. 'Cause he wants to get involved in
With the community, yeah.
in the community and with the teams and so forth. I know he's been at Pop Warner games. I know he's been at flag football games, just trying to evaluate some talent there.
See if you can gain some more people to come onto the team, right? If you
Yeah,
want to join the conversation, folks, you can join us at 978-957-4243. So, Moose, tell us a little bit about what his overall game plan is. I mean, you said he started with, what, 33 kids, you said?
33 kids.
And
yeah.
now he's up to what?
45.
See, he's already doing something good.
Yep.
Getting more kids involved.
Yeah. It's got to be the full team's got to be in participation. You can't have 3 or 4 guys that say, "Hey, we don't believe in your system" or something like that, and that,
Yeah.
So he's kind of got them.
bringing
He
them
knows who they are. Let's put it this way, and he's kind of relinquished some of the time with them.
Yeah, well, he's got John Stossel, who's a Dracut guy. I don't know if there's any other Dracut guys, but John Stossel is on the coaching staff with him, and he was on the previous coaching staff. So he has some continuity of the knowledge of the kids that are in the program, right?
Right.
So, and I think his son, John's son, plays also.
Yeah.
Christian.
Yes, Christian does. But there's not much talent, and I just don't want to play around with this. There's not much talent. If you even go into the Pop Warner system, the 2 teams, the A and B team, the A team is very poor.
Ouch.
There's 2 teams in flag football, and flag football, believe it or not, got more participants than any other program in the town. But the numbers are down, but all the programs are down, okay? I don't know what it is, the Corvus or what. So basically what I've been working with is Paula Chauncey to see how to come up with a plan to restore it. How do we keep kids in Dracut instead of going, I'll give you an example. There's more kids going to go to Central Catholic this year than ever, the class of 22, okay? More kids. How do we, I don't even know who they are or so forth, but why are these kids going there? And, there's all kinds of things. Central, there's a coach in our area, his kid played at Central. He's always said, Harris, he keeps talking with me, but let's go back. Why are these kids going there? So I noticed some things, like out in Tewksbury, every kid that's like freshman football and up has a Tewksbury jacket on. Doesn't say football or nothing. It just says Tewksbury Redmond. So maybe if we get up and get some money, and this is another discussion I've had, we can raise, I know I can raise the money to get for the football. But once you do the football, you're going to hear from, already I've heard from the other kids who participate.
Doesn't Dracut have a boosters club?
Football
boosters club or an athletic boosters
Well, they
club?
have, this is another problem, John. They have like 3 clubs.
3 booster clubs?
No, they got the Letterman's Club, they got the parents and the booster club, and they were in 3 different directions. Why can't we put this together, and go in one direction? But that's one of the reasons. Another thing I noticed, I was in Westford, of course, the opening game, and Westford, the participation out there, 4 hours before the game time, they have a pep rally. They got a tent outside. They give away Kool-Aids. You can buy Powerades or so forth. And you should see the participation. I get out there early because the place is in the boonies, and so I get out there, and there's that thing going on there. It was something to see. Not to change the subject.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
Now, you go a long way back, right? Gordy, he goes a long way back in Dracut sports, right? Were you ever involved in anything when he was around?
No.
You're relatively new to town. You're a new blow.
20
years ago?
Yep.
Well, Moose had already moved on to the next
but
round.
No, but he makes a great point is you see this in other schools, and there's a lot of school spirit. I don't see that at Dracut.
Yeah, no.
And Richard could
no.
probably talk to it better than I can in current times, but when I grew up in school, we used to have, like you said, pep band, and they used to have the cheerleaders come out, and the coach used to come out and say, we got a big game tonight. We need as many people as we can to help us, because you don't understand how that crowd noise and all that helps us and boosts up the players. You just don't see that.
Do they have a pep rally in Dracut?
So I believe this year's pep rally was canceled because of COVID. I could be wrong with that. The last football game I went to was years ago. The turnout was pretty good from what I'm hearing from other peers lately is that the turnout has been pretty bad at the football games. I could be wrong, but again, that's what I'm hearing. But one thing that I find concerning is Dracut doesn't even have a mascot.
No.
Have you ever thought of that? We do not have a mascot at Dracut High School.
Well, because it'll offend somebody.
Absolutely.
You don't want to be offending anybody. What are we going to have? I mean, what's a midi?
Well, Dracut,
We're going to have a person dressed in a uniform? A midi is a Navy.
Is a
person,
sailor,
right?
yeah.
It's a midshipman.
So we can have a midshipman. You can do something.
A lot of
make one
people
up.
don't know how they ended up at Dracut middies.
No, we don't. Tell us
Well,
about
down in the Navy Yard section.
that. How is there a Navy Yard in a town where there's no ocean? There's no port.
Oh, John, come on.
What do they go down?
They made blankets, John.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They made blankets for the sailors.
Is that what it's called?
Well, no. What they did is made they had the wood. There's a special
lumber.
wood up in lumber.
lumber.
It was up in Dracut, and that's how they
They
become.
put it on
midship-
ships and then brought
brought
it
it
up.
down.
So they
to
put
the
them in the
Merrimack
planks.
outfield.
They
And
brought.
by the way, it never met the Chelsea Creek, so let's not talk about that one.
There's the slap right there.
Yeah,
I
okay.
was waiting for the Chelsea
I
slap.
mean, you got Texaco and all them that were dumping in the creek. They can't even get through the bridges. They're running into the bridge now.
I was wondering if they float the wood down the Beaver Brook down to
Well,
the
they did,
Merrimack
you know,
River.
you're saying that's what they were doing, and most of it was behind the famous bar down in the Navy Yard section, Strogoff's,
Strogoff's, that's
which
right.
is now a different name, but
Yeah.
that's where it was, and that's how they come up with the
Strogoff's
name.
is that little place. It's like you can fit 3 people in it, and it's it's on Pleasant. Is it on Pleasant?
Pleasant, yeah.
On the
Oh,
corner of
that-
Pleasant and Lakeview.
That was old political haven in there. That's
Oh yeah, you go
unbelievable.
back with that one. I can
Yeah.
tell you.
But going back to Dracut football, and we're throwing some ideas around, and we're welcoming any ideas to stimulate something, to get something going. I really think we got to see the principal of the school there more often at the football games. And I think we need to see the superintendent at the games.
Oh.
Give the kids some spirit.
Well, let me-
And I'm not knocking anybody. That's I mean that's.
Yeah.
I know in one particular town that after they win a football game, from the principal, all the kids and the coaches get a little computer.
They
You
get a
know,
computer.
Yeah, if you have a computer,
Oh,
he
they
puts
get
it on the computer.
Oh, he puts it
thanking
on-
them for the
Puts
it
it
on
on
their
Instagram
website.
or on the
yeah,
website.
yeah. I mean that's it's.
It makes you feel proud. The
Richard
parents
has a
feel
group.
proud.
Sure,
It grows
sure.
that rapport between all the kids and.
Sure.
Yeah, Richard, do they have a?
I might, Moose, you may not be knocking anybody, but I guess this is a small knock. The principal at the school, I love him, Mr. Manley. He's fantastic. He's always there when I need to talk to him. He's always walking around the school talking to students. But the superintendent is another story. He's a nice guy. I have nothing against Stephen Stone personally, but I never see him anywhere. I never see him involved. While I wasn't involved in football or sports at the school, I did the school plays for quite a few years, and he never, ever attended a play. In fact, the last one I did 2 years ago was Miracle on 34th Street, right? The superintendent wrote us a letter saying that he was going to attend. We all got so excited because he's never been to a play. So we were practicing extra hard to make sure it was a really good performance for him, and he canceled last minute. I never see him at any school event whatsoever, and it's sad.
Let me go back to my days, okay, and that's 57, 56, 55, 54, okay?
Yes.
We had the superintendent, Dr. Diolis, at every practice, at every game,
Wow.
okay, and traveled with the team bus,
Wow.
okay?
Wow.
So, I mean, that meant something to the kids,
So we have a video to show. Let's show that video now of the video package from Mike, and then we're going to go on to the next subject with Moose and wrap up with a little bit of a video from that you put together too, a little package, right? So let's have that video package now, Nate, if you don't mind.
Handoff. Nope. Fakes the handoff to Gagnon. He throws it to Kai McDonald's going to go in for the touchdown. 56 yards for the touchdown, I believe. 58 yards for the touchdown. My mistake. Kai McDonald was the star on this series, clearly for the Middies. That might be their longest play of the season. And we got an official's timeout. Official saying
he
something.
adjusted to this ball. If you watch it on the replay, it gets tipped. The ball gets tipped, and he makes the adjustment.
Yep. That's just a good set of eyes, John, and a good set of hands, and then it's all run. So Dracut lining up.
Looks like they're throwing out the whole fans.
Yes,
they
it does
open the
look
side
like
gate, and they're all walking out.
Yeah, that does appear to be the case. And the ball is, 2-point conversion is made. Gagnon with the carry on that. So Middies now have 8. And yes, John, you are correct. The entire fan section for Chelmsford is being ejected from Beaudry Field right now.
Well, we're going to address that first because that's going to be the elephant in the house. I guess the Chelmsford, I happen to be watching the game, and the Chelmsford team threw something on the field. They threw water bottles or something on the field. Not the team, the fans in that end zone area. So to their credit, Paula Chaucy, the athletic director, made a decision to clear the stands so that the rest of the game could be played and keep the kids safe. The players on both sides safe. So that's why that was cleared out. But that took away from the awesome play that Gagnon kid made, and then the 2-point conversion. Were you at that game?
Yes, I was at all of the games.
Yeah.
Chimp said that when I played, we called them the Snuts. I'll be truthful with you. That was our Thanksgiving game. That was our championship game. You went out there and you pounded them. And I remember the pep talk from Coach Murphy at all. Your mother and father are working in the mills down here in Lowell, making $60,000 and $75,000.
$75 a week.
$75,000, yeah. And the parents out in Chempsett, they're $200,000, $150,000, $175,000. Just think of your parents. He used to get us up emotionally for that.
There you go.
And we just went out there and pounded. In the Chempsett game, I didn't see that. I didn't see that at all. The tackling was terrible. Their assignments, they didn't, tackling a second man in on the ball, simple rules, And it just looked like, they were overwhelmed with the 100 kids, coming in on the bus. And but they didn't have a good ball game. Let's put it that way.
Well, we've got about 5 minutes left in this segment before we move on to the next segment. But Richard, do we have anybody watching that's interested, having any questions or what have you?
We have no comment in the chat so far, but watching the show, if you want to know who's watching, we have Jen watching, of course.
Oh yeah, she's got to watch her husband. Make sure he's behaving himself.
Absolutely. We have Allie Marie watching. We have Renee Young of the school committee. Hello, Renee. How are you?
Very good to hear from Renee.
And your good friend Robert Hoey is
Robert
watching.
Hoey is in the house. Good man, Bob Hoey from Lowell. And we've got Freddie Peralt watching and a bunch of other people. But I want to get back to football a little bit here. So go ahead.
Yeah, regarding the football team, Gagnon, a few of the other guys, I know them, well, not very well, but I've known them for 4 years, we're classmates. And I like to say they're all pretty good scholars. I feel like the stereotypical high school football players, this dumb jock kid who doesn't know what the hell what planet he's on. But I will say that's not true at Dracut High. I'm really surprised. A lot of them really do keep up with their academics.
I'm not
It's a good thing. It's
Ricky, I can see why they don't like you at Dracut High. Like right aloud.
I'm complimenting them. They're not like the stereotype. They're doing a great job. Really, they do a great job.
If I'm really putting out, I'm sweating, okay, and you stink, okay, and take mandatory. When I played, you had to take a shower. Mm-hmm. You don't see these kids doing that now.
Oh, God.
Well, you know what?
I mean, after the game, they throw the jersey on and they're out.
Gordy, you got another couple of pieces of video you want to show? Or anything?
Yeah, I just put together kind of the highlights of
the
season. It's about a minute and a half.
Go ahead, throw it on. Let's throw it on, and then and folks, when we come back, we'll talk for another minute, and then we're going to switch out and go on to more illustrious and
There is
more
a running
controversial subjects that I don't want Moose to get involved with, so we're going to throw him off the set. All right? We'll be back in about a minute.
Handoff. Nope. Fakes the handoff to Gagnon. He throws it to Kai McDonald's going to go in for the touchdown. 56 yards for the touchdown, I believe. 58 yards for the touchdown. My mistake. Kai McDonald was the star on this.
Got trips out here to the left. They're in the pistol.
Gagnon's the single back, pin in the shotgun. He takes the snap, throws it over the middle to. That's a catch by. Is that Mitch Trips again?
Yeah, that's Mitchell. And still in the pistol.
Kai McDonald over here on the left. Hands it off to Gagnon. Gagnon's going wide to the visitor side of the field. He stretches, and is it touchdown, Minis? The end of this drive with
Finally got our first punt.
We got our first punt. It's a nice high kick. Kai McDonald's underneath it, fakes to the middle. He's taking it up the right sideline. He's got one guy to beat. He's got a blocker in front of him, Mitch Cripps. Cripps trying not to get called for blocking in the back. Kai McDonald has it. He's taking it inside the 15. So we're about
no flat. Man-to-man coverage.
Yeah. Quarterback keeper. Quarterback keeper. And he's in for the touchdown.
Yep.
In for the touchdown. Touchdown Minis. 1:48 to go in the fourth quarter. Jake Penn with the keeper. Cut this lead to 21-12.
51 is down.
Uh-oh. That's not good. Manuel Farley.
For the video.
Well, we know.
Just a couple highlights from the team.
Well, thank you for putting that little package together there, Gordy. We know that the kids are working hard. We know that. And we know that they're trying their best, and you got a new coach, and we want to wish them all the best, right? Right, Moose?
Right.
And do you have anything you want to close out with?
Yeah, on this coming Tuesday, the 5th of March, I believe it is, I get, well, we call them the old timers, all the football players come over there. We have a couple of dozen, maybe a little bit more at times. We'll be there this week, 9:30 at Shaw's on Broadway.
Right.
Everybody is welcome. That part of the thing is.
So these are all the alumni football guys that get together
Yes.
once a month or whatever.
Let me tell you what, I got one. This was the 1946 captain,
Wow.
Ed Murphy, Frank Sandelli. And what a guy, he's 93 years old, 92, going to be 93. I'd like to bring him in one night.
So we should do that. We should have them in.
Yeah, I'll
You
have
know,
him. And this week we're going to honor a couple of people. I don't want to come out with their names because they
Sure.
don't know nothing about it.
Sure.
But
So that is
we have
on
that.
the 5th of October?
yes, that's
Okay.
Tuesday, I believe, the 5th, isn't it?
Is it Tuesday, the 5th of October?
I believe
That
so.
sounds
Yeah.
right.
And if I'm correct, Moose, I think I have the 1946 Dracut High School yearbook actually.
Yeah.
So I'll check my records at home. Maybe I can get a photograph.
There you
as
go.
well.
Yeah.
There you go.
Frankie Sandelli, a hell of a guy. I mean, at 92. And there was a little problem. And, we had the Dracut High complex named after Ed Murphy, the gymnasium part.
Yeah.
And Frankie wanted to say a couple of words, and he got shot. And
Really?
yeah, that's another story. But I'd like to bring him on some night.
Sure.
Some night. The other, we're going to have another one, captain, that was right behind him. I still got him. So, and then I got my captain in 1950. He was one of the captains, Dick Doobie. But we got Ed Murphy's two sons are there, Danny and the coach at Dennis that was at the Vogue, very successful coach there. And we get your friend, Henry Golick.
Oh, yeah, Hank.
Yeah.
Hank Golick. Does he go too?
Oh, yeah.
He goes to the breakfast? That's
Yeah.
cool. So
Yeah, he said, we serve. I mean, the guy you're traveling with, Zimini, he says, got deep pockets. Man.
Short hands,
Short
and deep
arms,
pockets.
too, that's for sure. Well, on that note, folks, we're going to ask the guys in the production room to show the video of the subcommittee meeting, or even if you can pull up the video that I took on it's like a minute and a half
the town
on
annex.
the town annex. Yeah, the annex project. Bring that one up while we change this out. We let Moose go for the night, and we'll catch up real soon, Moose.
The lovely Carol will want to see me.
The lovely Carol is waiting to
She
see
said,
you.
don't get tied up now. Come home.
Come home.
Come home.
All right, Carol, he'll be home in a couple minutes. We'll see you in a couple minutes,
By
folks.
the way, let me say something.
Go.
Jen, you keep saying Jen. Jen's a hell of a person.
She is.
She don't need him as a selectman.
Yeah.
Okay? Like crying aloud.
All right, folks, we'll be back in a minute. Stay tuned. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. Well, we're back, folks, and welcome back to the show, and we're going to move on. We want to thank Moose for coming in tonight. You know, Moose is a great guy, 82 years old. Was he 82, 83?
I think 82.
82. Yeah, and I mean, you know, he's a great guy, and we appreciate having him come. And Carol, we thank you for letting him come out tonight. I know it's a little late, but we're glad to have him, and he'll be home in a few minutes, I'm sure. We want to move on, but what Richard wants to make a point.
Yeah, let me correct I think Moose misunderstood my comment, so God forbid anybody did at home as well.
Yeah.
When I was referring to the football team, I said that unlike the average football player who is just a dumb jock who doesn't pay attention to his studies, the Dracut kids are the opposite of that, and after the football games, they get home, they study, and they do a great job at the school. And I think that's a big, big thing. It says a lot about their character.
That's what it's supposed to be. You don't
Exactly.
think that the jocks, Gordy, at Notre Dame College under Brian Kelly are dumb jocks that that people would refer to. Do you?
No.
No.
They're scholar athletes in today's society, and I'm sure that Richard thinks about back in the day, you know, when the kids would just, you know, would go out there and bang heads and not
Back in
really,
1943.
not be very scholarly, but these kids are today.
Absolutely.
And they're all working hard, and we know they're working hard to get better. And I know Moose is trying to help the coach. He's a great guy, and hopefully we're going to get him in here and get him on the set with us.
Just to close on the whole sports thing, and the football thing here at Dracut, I think one of the points, and I'm glad to see that the new football coach, is getting involved and going to the Pop Warner games, because that's something we hadn't seen in the past. As you know, I was very involved with basketball, and back when Coach Mike Paquette, back in 2010, the last time, you know, back then we had pretty good teams back in the day. He was involved with all the youth sports, and he came down, he mentored me as I was building my travel teams, and he really came down to our practices and made the kids feel good, like, you're important, we need you in the program, keep playing basketball. They would have things, you know, help us get things going in the summer, programs to get them involved in to keep their skills at a high level. So, and I'm glad to see the new coach, Brian Myers, is doing that as well. So I think that's the recipe for having a great program.
The new coach is?
Brian Myers for the basketball.
For basketball, oh, yeah.
Right.
What's that?
George Dristolaris.
George Dristolaris is on the line. Let's talk to George for a minute. Hi, George.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm great. We just got back in town. We'll see you later, actually.
Absolutely.
But I just wanted to address the dumb jock comment.
Oh, don't tell me that's on. Oh, no, don't tell me. Don't you
Go
dare.
right ahead. Go right ahead.
Okay, well, there's a bad. The connection's really weird.
Yeah, it is.
First of all, do you know what goes into to learn an offense and defense as far as in football is concerned?
No,
it takes as much studying and as much practice as you have to do in school. So you have to be extremely organized, and you have to be focused to be able to do it, because you're not going to succeed if you can't learn.
Correct.
And as far as football is concerned, people may think that the thing is smashing each other, and they're jump jocks. But when they smash each other, they're doing things they've practiced, and plays and defenses, special teams. They have to learn this stuff.
But back in the day, was it really?
And I'll tell you, when I coached in high school, my kids did better during the football season because they had to be more focused than not. So just keep those those comments. I know people who don't understand it and haven't been involved don't understand the amount of learning and everything that goes along with it. So that's all I really wanted to say.
Great, George. Thanks for calling in. And Richard really is not a sports person.
But at the same time, I agree with you, George. That's what I was alluding to. You have to be very intelligent to be able to play these sports and keep up with your grades.
I think that's the movies you're referring to, the prototypical
exactly
quarterback that.
Right.
So, George, we'll see you in a few. Okay, so let's move on. Let's get off this football thing now.
Please, before I get buried.
Before you get killed. So we got a couple of things to talk about. Well, let's go right to the annex. Gordy, you have some background and knowledge about what it's taken to get to where it is today on that town hall annex. What's going there, and what's the anticipated finish date and all that stuff?
Yeah, so this goes way back. We actually had 3 different years at town meeting that we had approved finances for this building to get done. And this was years ago. Oh, geez, it has to be going back 7 years now, was the first one. In a community for a better, I think it's ABC.
Better Acre.
Better Acre out of Lowell is the one that was granted this project. This is for veterans housing here in Dracut. They get the first dibs at the apartments. I think there's going to be 7 units inside the building. They have to keep the look of the old town hall as part of the rehabilitation of the building. But again, I'm glad to see that the work on this building has started to happen, because as I've been following this for several years, and nothing's been happening. So finally, they're doing some work on it, which I thought was great.
How much did the town contribute to that?
It's over $2 million.
It's over $2 million. Yeah, I thought it was closer to 3 or better. Now, I understand, and you may not even be aware of this, but they started putting the siding on that side of that building, and a local contractor gave me a call, and he's going to remain nameless at this point, unless he wants to call in and say something. But he called me and said, they're putting that siding up wrong. He said they put it up wrong, and I guess he stopped by the site and made some comments, and I guess the guy said, "Get out of here, you old bat, get out of here, whatever." So the guy, he moved on, and before you know it, the siding was all taken down because they had to redo it. But that's not a public project.
Right.
That's not a public project. That's the
well, part of it is because they're using CPC money.
But it's not. But that
it's publicly funded, but it's a private.
Well, no, it's not publicly funded totally. It's through it's a private nonprofit.
Right, but money was given to them. Public money was given to them
for the purchase and other things. And other things of that nature. You're right, absolutely. So let's move on to the next subject. If anybody wants to talk about that one, give us a call at 978-957-4243. But I wanted to mention that a congratulatory note to former Deputy Chief Stephen Chappett, who retired officially, I think, a week and a half ago. And
he's a great guy too, by the way.
He is. How much do you know about him?
Well, when we met him, when we did the police rally.
Yes,
he was great guy.
He was acting chief at the time.
Wow, and how professional he was.
Yeah, he did a great job.
Helped us so immensely on that project.
Yes, he did. We had a very successful rally when we did that. That was during COVID. And
that caused a little spur, if you remember.
It did.
It was not successful according to a few people in a few towns over, but
that's all right.
It is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. The other thing is that we wanted to congratulate him and wish him all the best in the future. And remember that we broke that story here when nobody else was talking about it. We broke that story here that Stephen Chappett was about to retire. But the next thing I wanted to talk about is about the retirement of the fire chief, Brulee, who retired officially, I think, today or yesterday, or after he made a brief appearance before the Board of Selectmen during his point of, his part of the meeting where he's supposed to give his whole assessment of what the last month was. But it became a pat on the back type thing, and which well deserved. He's done. He's out, and now new chief. His name? Do you know who he is?
It's been a while.
Come on,
Rich
Patterson.
Patterson.
So Rich Patterson took over, and I happen to have seen him at an accident today that we caught as I was dropping off my protege. We saw a lot of ambulances in place of fire going down the street on Dracut on Lakeview Ave, and a person went right into the building. I don't know if you can bring that video up on here, but there was a car accident, and boom, the woman went right into the what do you call it?
The tailor
shop. So here's the video. So he's standing there in the white shirt. That's Rich Patterson. He's the new chief. So, are we back on?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Because I don't see. Oh, there we are. Okay. So, he's the new chief, and he was over there, overseeing what they were.
Do you have any background information on what happened?
No, I didn't. I didn't. All I know is that there were 2 vehicles involved.
Was anyone hurt?
There was somebody sitting in the back of the ambulance, but she looked shooken up. I think she was the driver of the first vehicle. The second vehicle guy was standing outside, and there was quite a bit of damage in both vehicles.
Breaking news right here.
That was breaking news.
Yeah.
It was breaking news at 4:30.
Yeah.
Broken right here, and what's happening, Dracut?
And we also broke the news of the cruiser fire.
Right.
You recall that?
Yes.
That happened when? About 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, right after our show, actually.
Right after our show, and I got home around 9:30 because we went out to dinner afterwards.
And I have a friend that lives across from the police station.
That's right. And we got right on it, and we got pictures and the whole 9 yards, and I had the whole thing out there as breaking news while it was in progress. So it came out that person who was the person involved that got through the gate, went in to the back of the building. She was from Dracut.
Yeah.
And originally she's from Lowell, and her name is Alicia Burley, who is she's a former Playboy playmate and an American model. Did you know that, Richard?
I did.
You did know
I did.
that.
I saw it. Let's not get into that, John. Let's not get into that.
No, we're not going to get into that.
Well, I'll just say I saw the evidence. Let's just leave it at that.
He saw the woman, but the woman allegedly went back, got through the gate, went back. The gate was open, and went back and set a police cruiser on fire, and in turn it turned another cruiser on fire, and so an unmarked cruiser, and both vehicles got severely damaged enough to be totaled, right? So what else did you know about that, Gordy?
That's really it. I don't know the background story why she did it, or I think that's still coming out.
So there's a lot of political upheaval over this, and there are people out there that want to make this a real big issue and make it a big issue for the chief. And my question is, I understand that, and I'm gonna do a request for information for documents, because I understand that there has been numerous requests for that gate to be fixed. The gate wasn't in operation; it wasn't able to be closed. And from what my gathering is, and I can't confirm this yet until I get the documentation, but I'm told through the grapevine that gate wasn't able to work since it's been in there, and for the past 2 managers have been asked to get it fixed, for money to fix it, and they've been pushed aside. So it's more or less, and of course there'll be political forces that are going to try to point the fingers at everybody. And to his credit, Tony Chinsky is trying to get to the bottom of it, and it shouldn't happen again. And I hope he really does get to the bottom of it. And if it was a money problem, then somebody in charge of the purse strings should be held accountable for that, because that's way too much. That's way out of line. That should not happen. So let's show the video now of the subcommittee meeting. That this was supposed to be part of that subcommittee meeting, but it ended up being mostly about manning and security at the police station. So let's show that video now, and that'll put it into context. Got that video?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Richard Silvio reporting for What's Happening Dracut. This evening, we're located at Dracut Town Hall, where we're going to hear from the Dracut Police Chief at the Public Safety Committee meeting. The Police Chief is going to speak on the fire last week that engulfed 2 Dracut police vehicles due to the faulty security gate that was located at the station. Well, stay tuned, and we're going to hear exactly what the Police Chief has to say for himself.
Officer safety is very important to me. It's important to all of us, and I want to thank all these guys for showing up here tonight, because I think it's important for them to hear this as well. But our current staffing is at 40. Of that, 27 patrol and 11 supervisors with 2 administrative positions. We have 3 patrol officers currently out on injured line of duty status, which leaves 24 patrol, and 1 supervisor out on injured line of duty status, leaving 6 supervisors. The officer safety issue comes down to a myriad of things. One of the most important things that I'd like to address is that having 3 patrol officers in a community this size to patrol this town is an officer safety issue in and of itself. We have had issues where all officers are tied up. As recently as this crucifix, we have had issues where all the officers are tied up. A supervisor has to leave the building to go address a call for service because all the officers are tied up, or to assist at a scene. And the numbers that we have just aren't enough. In addition to that, on the personnel side, I'm forcing these guys to work all the time. They're being forced to work double shifts. It's a shell game for these guys just to get a day off, or to have to go to a family event. An officer, here's an example, an officer works the day shift, he's got to go to a night wedding, but he's got to take the day off so he doesn't get forced from the 4 to 12 shift if he comes into work. This is not sustainable. This is not a sustainable situation that we're in. This has been at the forefront of me looking for more bodies from the time that I got here. And I know that it's been asked before that. But I think now with this incident highlighted when nobody was in the building, I think we really need to look at how we're going to fix this moving forward, because we have to make sure that these guys are safe. I want them to go home at the end of the day to their families. I do not want to make that phone call that something happens to one of them. And the way we're moving forward right now is not sustainable. And you got to help me, because I need to get this fixed.
Can I ask a question, Madam Chair? Well, I know in the last 2 years she's been trying to give you 2 people a year. Now, for whatever reason, you haven't been able to send them to the academy, but I think that goes back well over a year.
Well, I don't think I'm not sure that that's actually accurate. The last time.
You better believe it's not accurate, Chief. You better believe it's not accurate. There's Joe DiRocco, again, sitting there on his high horse, protecting his appointment as the manager, his political appointment as the manager. Gordy, you're never going to see Joe DiRocco say a bad word about Ann Vandal, because he's the cause of her being in that seat, and she should be very thankful for that. And I'm sure she's paying a heavy price, because everything Joe wants, Joe's going to get. The bottom line is that Joe DiRocco has been sitting on that board now for 16, 17 years, and there are less policemen on the job now than when he took office. Or they're just getting back up to where they might have been. They were like 43 when I left. And when I left, we had 43 police officers on there. And they were way down, and they just gave them a couple more. Because you know what happens? The managers in this town, and particularly Dennis Peendak, and I love Dennis Peendak, and I've always said that if I wanted somebody to save my $1 million and make it grow, he's the guy that would do it, because he was very, very cheap and very, very frugal with Dracut taxpayers' money, which is not a bad thing. But what it did was it hurt like the police department and the fire department in Manning. They never grew as the population grew. So the population when Dennis Peendak came in here was somewhere around 20,000 people, and maybe 36 members of the force was okay. But when you grow up almost 2 times that amount to over 30,000, you should have maybe 56 on both forces, according to national standards. And the chief said that during the meeting last night, and it was interesting that, they wanted to come up with a plan, but there's no plan. There's really no plan. Joe talked about maybe, well, she wants to give you more, or every manager has always wanted to give them more, but what happens, Gordy? What happens?
The money.
The money what? So they have so much money in the payroll account, and so when there's a retirement or somebody leaves for whatever reason, that money stays there, and then it gets eaten up by other things, whether it's pay raises or step raises, and they never expand the payroll.
Right.
They never really expand it.
Right.
They just keep using it. So they're always behind the 8 ball. When somebody retires, the next guy coming in is filling in the retirement and not really boosting the numbers. You got to set the number. Whatever the payroll is for 40 people, that's going to remain the 40. Next year, we're going to increase that by whatever it takes, bennies and payroll. You're going to increase it by let's say one cop costs $100,000. You're going to increase it by $100,000.
Right.
It's as simple as that.
And
you
keep
increasing it till you get to that point.
And a big part of it too is the public opinion, right? As you remember, years ago, parents got up and spoke about the school doesn't have enough money, the school doesn't have enough money, the school doesn't have enough money. So that's kind of where I think Ann is pushing a lot of the money, giving money to the schools, and which in theory isn't a bad thing, but now they're getting all this influx of money from COVID, but the police don't stand up for themselves, or no one stands up, because it's going to take an issue, John, unfortunately. It's going to take a bad issue, worse than these police cars starting on fire.
Well, the police were at that meeting, and they were maybe
No,
14.
but I'm saying the public, before the public gets up, and
exactly.
people are going to have to start getting shot, unfortunately, and crime is going to have to run rampant before people say we need more police.
God, I hope it doesn't get to that.
I hope it doesn't either, but that's what I think it's going to take.
But how about your parents?
John, really. First the fire department, and now the police department in town. The police department in town and the policemen in the town of Dracut are so terribly mistreated. The morale is miserable. I don't know how they can stand being a policeman in Dracut anymore. Really, I can't. I wear a thin blue line flag right here on my coat, right? No matter where the policemen sit, I sit with them. And you're completely right with saying the policemen haven't been in the limelight enough lately. We need to bring these issues to the people. I'm not going to get into detail right now, but things are going to change. I can tell you that much. Stay tuned, because this is unacceptable, and I'm not going to sit by and let it happen anymore.
No, exactly.
The policemen in town, they're so miserably mistreated. It's disgusting.
Well, it's across the country that this is happening.
Oh, yeah.
It's across the country that police are getting mistreated everywhere, because they can't move without getting accused of different things, whether it be harassment or racism or whatever it is. Everything is piled on them. They're just trying to do their job. And do we think that there are bad police officers? Bad police officers
there's bad people
everywhere.
Absolutely.
Everywhere. But the overwhelming majority of the people on any force or any organization want to do a good job.
Right.
They want to do the job, and they want to go home at night in one piece,
right,
and intact. I mean, you had an impassioned plea by the chief saying he doesn't want to have to make that phone call, that public safety is, because they're down so many people, that he has to hold people over. That has to hurt them physically.
Yeah.
To hold them over from one shift to the other, because they don't have enough people for a shift. Can you imagine we only have 3 police officers on per shift?
Right.
It's
So
disgusting.
what happens, Gordy, when there's an accident or something going on the street after 11 o'clock at night or after 10 o'clock at night or even after 5 o'clock at night when everybody goes home from the police department? There's a supervisor there, and the supervisor's needed out on the street. What do you think happens?
And then
The
every time
building's closed. The building is closed.
Police
that,
cars
and
get
then
lit on fire. That's what
every
happens.
time there's an accident or whatever, they always need, or if it could be a drunk driver or whatever, you need a backup. You need someone for backup. So you're taking every time there's a stop, there's 2 police officers that are
Right. So if
being held
one's
up.
tied up and there's another incident, they got to
There's
go
no
there,
backup. There's
and
no
then
backup.
then the supervisor's got to come out. So who's the ultimate responsibility? Is it to make sure that the police department has enough men,
The town
and women, and personnel?
and the selectman, town manager and selectman.
Right.
Bingo.
The manager is the ultimate person responsible for that. And, if you want to sit in that seat and do what you're supposed to be doing, you can't be pointing fingers, say, oh, COVID this and COVID that, and blame it on funding. You're sitting on $10.5 million in free cash. If I'll tell you, if I was the manager, I would have had the police chief in the next day, and I would have told him, hire an outside agency. Hire somebody for nights to be in that building. Hire anybody that can manage a phone or make sure that somebody's there that can handle a situation so that that building's not empty.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, it's always put off that, well, they got to go through training. You've got former police officers in town who are auxiliary police officers that maybe you can use them. They're already trained. Maybe they can use a couple extra bucks and you can get them in there to watch the desk during this emergency situation. But this is not new.
Heck, John, I'm about to graduate high school. Pay me. I'll sit there and answer the telephones. Really.
There you go. You're looking for a job.
It's a no-brainer.
I know. You're not going to get it that way. Yeah. And Richard, you sit here. You ain't getting a job in town, so forget it. You better be looking somewhere else.
What, I'm not going to get a political appointment?
You won't be getting no political appointments here. Nope, no way. There's no way. So we're going to move on to the next subject because I mentioned earlier about the chief of the fire department getting all these accolades for 35 years or whatever amount of time. And I don't mean to lighten that because he gave a lot of service to the town and he gave a lot of service to this country, and he is entitled to praise for all of that service. No matter what happened through his career, he's entitled to the praise of being a great public servant, and I applaud him for doing that, even though I know we've had our differences over certain things. And I just wanted to make sure that I go back and say that, Chief Brulee did a great job here for his time, and we wanted to move on. But the travesty of this whole thing is people have to be held accountable for when they do misdeeds. And there were things that happened during the chief's reign that should have been addressed. Whether they've been addressed or not, I can't tell you because he's gone now. But I will say this. The board has yet to give any kind of accolades to another member of the department that recently retired, and that's Leo Mcmahon. Leo Mcmahon served this town for 37 years as a firefighter, and I believe in a couple of other areas as well. But because he was the president of the union, he gets shunned. He gets nothing because he's not part of the good old boy network. He got absolutely zero. And, Leo Mcmahon was a firefighter of the nth degree. He did everything he could possibly do to make this a better department as he could. He came down with cancer, was treated for it, suffered, and all related to his job. And we personally thank Leo for his service. Do we have a caller?
Yeah, I have an Alex Augusta.
Who do we have?
Alex Augusta.
Alex Augusta. Okay, Alex. Let's go.
Hi, I just wanted to ask Richard Silvio about the recent scandals regarding UMass Amherst.
Say that again?
The scandals about UMass.
Scandals at UMass? No, I haven't heard about that. Please enlighten me.
You haven't heard about that?
No, I haven't.
A fake coalition of a quote-unquote better society emailed every African-American student at UMass Amherst saying completely racist things.
Oh, actually, I think I may have seen the headlines for that, actually.
Where was that recently? A fake what?
I believe the person who emailed name was Derek Vin, and it's been all over everywhere, basically.
Wow. Alex, what's your last name again? Alex? Can you hear me?
I think he's gone. I think
Yeah.
we're lo- oh.
What's your last name again?
Augusta.
Augusta. Alex, you know what? Can you send us an email on that subject? I'd love to try to do a little bit of
Yeah, we'd love to write
investigation
an
on the
article on
background.
that.
We'll do something on that. We'll look into that.
Of course.
All right? Anything else, Alex? Because we can't really speak to it if we're not that up on it, okay? Thanks for calling, Alex.
That's a great lead.
That's a great lead.
new article.
We'll look into that. We'll absolutely look into that. And thanks for watching the show, Alex. So let's talk a little bit more about this political stuff that's gone on in town. We talked about Leo Mcmahon and the service that he gave, and there's others that do it, and they don't particularly pay attention to everybody that retires. I know that recently Betsy
Murphy.
Not Murphy, no. Betsy Ware has retired. She retired, or she's about to retire, and I haven't heard any accolades for her. Maybe she's not in the political circle that the same political circle that Joe DeRocco holds. And we know that if you're not in his circle, it doesn't count, right? Right? So, but what else do you think about this police chief? I know that Alex Vulgaris, who's one of the candidates for chief, obviously disappointed.
For the fire chief.
For the fire chief, obviously disappointed. And I've heard through scuttlebutt that he is going to appeal the civil service to civil service for that decision. What do you think about that?
Wow, that's good. Well, he has every right to do that.
Yeah, he certainly does. He certainly does, and he should.
There should be an investigation into how they were selected.
And why? What was this? How was the selection process to your memory? Do you remember what it was like?
Well, I believe that there was 3 candidates, and Ann thought that was the best selection.
Yeah, and what was the scores? The
lowest score.
Which is
of all.
amazing that I don't hear more about the scores. Alex got a 93, and the second guy, who was I forget his name, Deputy Tom. Oh, I forget his name right off the top of my head. It's another senior moment, but he got a 92, and then the current chief
70
got a 70. And I know there was a mistake that he made on not putting in his time served, because he has a lot of time served, but that's a pretty big mistake to make, because then it becomes a questionable appointment. But we wish Alex luck, and I don't think it's going to go anywhere, but we wish him luck. The other thing I wanted to talk about tonight was, how Jesse Forcier is still hanging on to his seat. You know that, right?
Yep.
And what's the background on that? Do you know anything?
He's purchasing a new home.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is
and we have a picture, folks, of the new of the construction has just about begun. And if we can get we can talk over it. And there it is. That's the pile of dirt that's been moved around on the lot in Methuen, where Jesse will eventually make his homestead. And we don't knock him for doing what he thinks is right for his family.
Right.
But what I do knock him about is, why is he hanging on to the seat here? He really doesn't have any interest in Dracut anymore. His interest has now turned to Methuen. So he should just move on. Just resign and let the seat be filled by a special election, or hold it open until the next election. But this is ridiculous that he's holding on this long to this. What say you?
And you broke that, and then I think he went on another show that's on.
And said, yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's ridiculous, and now it comes to fruition. So,
right, and it's still going to happen. I'll tell you why he's holding on, because he's got an axe to grind for Joe DeRocco, who's been coming after certain members of the DATV board of directors, namely myself, Tammy Dristolaris, and Phil Thibault. Mm-hmm. And, the axe is that you dare Phil Thibault to run against a sitting member of the Board of Selectmen.
Or you dare say anything negative against
and
anyone on the board.
Of course, as you know, they have the 3 of them, the big 3, I call them. Who are they? You know who the big 3 are? Allison Janest.
Yep. Joe DeRocco.
And Jesse Forcier. Yeah. And then they're the ones that are going to be controlling what happens here. they're trying to stuff this place down here with all their appointments. They've got 3 appointments. All 3 are Joe DeRocco friends. They're all Joe. In fact, one of them is going to run for selectman in the next selectman race. You know that, right? Which I'm going to tell you right now, Tony Archinsky is unbeatable. He will be unbeatable. So if they're looking to topple him, he's not losing. Yeah. He may not come in first, but although I think he will in that race, and I'll put my money on that. But they're going to try to put, what's his name? Matt Sheehan, who, Matt Sheehan has been on several boards here, and he's on several boards now. And I don't think he really wants to be. I just think he has to be because of his position. He's trying to keep his positions wherever he is and keep his fingers in everything. And I don't think he really wants to be on those boards. What say you? What do you think?
I really don't know much about him. The meetings I've watched, it seems like there are 10-minute meetings on every board that he's involved with. So,
when was the last time you saw the Housing Authority do anything in Dracut?
Right, exactly. And they're usually 5 or 10-minute meetings.
5 or 20-minute meetings is a long meeting. I mean, other than them trying to go after, people that they're workers that don't agree with them, or people that are not on the political same page as them. I mean, they're constantly having problems with personnel and lawsuits and what have you. And Richard, anybody chiming in on the Facebook page?
Yeah, we have Michael Williams saying that was Tom Mackey.
Tom Mackey,
right?
Tom Mackey. I'm sorry. Thank you very mumuch, Michael, for that. Tom Mackey, and I don't mean any disrespect to Tom Mackey. He's a good guy, and now that came back to my memory, he's a good guy.
You're getting old, John.
I am. I admit it. I admit that maybe I'm just.
You had a Biden moment.
Maybe I have a Biden moment, which we're going to get into in a couple of minutes. We're going to get into the Biden moment.
Oh, don't you dare say it's time to retire.
No, I don't think so. But the Jesse Forcier thing is he should just move on so that we can get some new blood in there. But the problem is if they do it now, they can't hold on to that seat. You see what I'm saying? So they're going to wait until they can hold on to the seat.
They've got the power of 3 right now.
Right, and that's what they want to continue.
If they lose one more seat, they've only got the power of 2.
So, hey, do you attend town meeting?
I usually do. I didn't go to the last one.
Have you ever been to town meeting, Richard?
I've been to the mock town meeting, but I was not able. I was in Boy State during the actual town meeting.
So now this year, as a resident, you can go as a guest and sit in the town and sit in the guest section, not have a voice. But do you think you'd ever like to do that?
I'd love to.
Yeah,
it'd be a blast. I absolutely will. I plan on it.
If COVID doesn't prevent us from having a town meeting, because you notice that things are starting.
100 people now.
100 people or what?
For the town meeting now.
For the November town meeting, what happened there?
They reduced it from 250 to 100 because of COVID.
Because of COVID. Great, huh, folks?
Well, after they had to redo the last town meeting because it wasn't enough people.
So if you took a survey, right, of the people who attend town meeting, how many of them do you think you'd come up with are connected to public service in some way? I'm talking too much.
80%.
You got to jump in
80%.
80% would be.
I would say.
Would be probably.
Because I've been at town meetings where they take a roll call. People have asked for a roll call, and they're out in the hallway counting the people that are working at the desk taking names.
Wow.
Well, they're there.
Even people in the audience would be the people who are involved. Like I know that you go to a water district, a Dracut water supply district meeting.
What's there, 7 people in there?
7 people. Oh, there might be 15. 7 of them work for the town.
Oh, okay.
Work for the Dracut Water Supply District, and the other 4 or 5 are on the board. 3 are on the board, right?
Right.
And then the rest of them are workers at the office. So nobody pays attention to that stuff, and that's why, folks, you got to get involved. You got to go to those meetings. You got to pay attention to what the water supply.
And that's why I haven't been going, to be honest with you, John, because I've seen firsthand that it's all controlled. It seems to be a town meeting, but if the numbers aren't there, what really threw it off is we're going to take a vote.
Right.
And people stand up. Okay, if you said yes, stand up. And then you've got your boss there. I'm just thinking of myself if it was me, if I work for the town, and my boss is standing up there advocating for an article. And if I'm against the article, do you think in this God's green earth I'm going to stand up to my boss and vote against what my boss thinks for? Not going to happen. It's just not going to happen.
No, naturally. Especially where you have the town manager standing at the front of the
Right.
room. I remember that Jim Duggan used to do that. He used to stand up there, lean against the stage, and he was looking out at the audience. So if there's a standing vote, and it's a proposal that he's advocating for,
And then next time
you better have your butt up in the air.
And next time raises come up, guess what?
Yeah, forget about it. Forget about it. It's just the way it is. That's just the way it is in this town and every town. It's
And
not
that's
in-
why when they take a vote, if it's close vote, they should do, everything should be ballot vote, because then you're going to vote for what you really think.
So what I was going to talk about was that the town is now, I believe they're purchasing or leasing, I think they're purchasing what they call new poll pads. And it's a check-in device. It's like an iPad, and you go over and you scan a barcode or you put your name in and whatever configuration you need to do it in, and it records that you are at the meeting. So, you know,
not a
I
bad
think it's
idea.
a pretty good idea, and it's probably what I thought of. The first thing I thought of, and nobody made a question about this on the board or anything, because they presented it last night at the Board of Selectmen. It's a great device. I think it's a great idea of
They
innovation.
should have that at the voter booths.
Well, they should have a way to do that. And Kathy Graham did say that they're looking into a phone app that you scan while you're there. It's kind of like these menus that when you go
Right.
to a restaurant,
And
you
it
can
will
scan
download the whole warrant.
It'll
all the
download
warrants.
the warrant article or download a particular item that they're going to vote
Right.
on, and you either vote yes or no at that particular time.
Right.
So that's interesting to look at. But these pads will speed up the check-in process, because when you go there now, Richard,
Yes.
there's 10 tables set up, one for each precinct.
Yes.
in
A
the
lot of
town.
people don't know their precinct.
And they don't know their precinct, right?
Some people
but
don't.
you have people sitting. We hired people to sit at those poll precincts to check people in, right? So these pads are probably going to save us some money in the long run with salaries for those people.
Yeah.
But nobody's asked that question. Is it going to save us any money? All they said is, well, it's costing us about $9,500 to purchase these things, because they cost like $1,100 per unit. You got to have one, I think, or two for each, one for each precinct, right? But it's going to be good. Your father just chimed in, and you know I love your father, Richard.
Oh, I know
But
you
now
do.
he's trying to tell me that I need Prevagen,
Wow.
right?
Wow.
Right? He's really
That's a
he gave me
cheap
a
shot.
slap.
That's a low blow.
So-
that is a
Mine, right?
low blow.
So, Rich, we'll talk about that when we get
you know
together.
what? I want to sit back and listen
Whoa,
to this one.
Listen to him relaxing
Look
over
forward
here.
to this.
Look at it. No, we're not going to get into that. But okay, so now let's move on to schools, because we only have about 10 minutes left, and I want to do a 5-minute piece on schools. And the first thing I want to do is
favorite subject.
I want to congratulate the superintendent of schools, his daughter, Eve, who had the superintendent had a Instagram account, and it's Dracut Super is his Instagram account, and he announced that his daughter, that he's very proud of his daughter, and that his daughter has decided that she's going to play her hockey career. She's a goalie, I think.
Wow.
And she's going to be playing at Stonehill College next year, and I want to say good luck to her, and good luck to Richard. I mean, not to Richard, good luck to Stephen, and hopefully he'll get to see some games with his daughter down in southeastern Massachusetts.
Wow.
It's a great
Isn't
school.
isn't goalie one of the hardest positions to play?
I think
in
it
hockey?
is.
Yeah. And I-
You stand in front of a puck
Yeah,
being
okay.
shot at you at 70, 80 miles an hour. Are you brave enough to do that, Richard?
I don't think so.
yeah.
I'll stick with town politics.
You stick with Tom Paul.
But,
Yeah, and stay away from criticizing jocks, will you?
Yeah, I didn't. I'm not going to get stuck for that. I am not going. But no, I spent for Boise State SNO, I spent a week at the Stonehill campus. Beautiful campus. I hope she enjoys it. Really,
She will. It's a great
beautiful.
place to go. So tell us, Gordy, you said you had a school issue that you had thought about
Yeah,
or heard.
so I watched
go ahead,
the
enlighten
school
us.
committee meeting. Again, the parents stood up. There was some impassioned pleas again for the masks. Obviously, they didn't really want to do anything about that again. And the mask mandate has been extended now to November.
Yes.
So I don't think the parents were too happy about that. But then they had the principals came and talked about this new, some of the new policies that they're doing, the ruler system, they're talking about. But before that, the superintendent spoke about that there's been a lot better communication.
Did he take his mask off before he spoke?
He did.
So COVID doesn't affect him when he's talking? Okay, go ahead.
So anyway, so he was saying that there's a lot better communication with the town and the schools, seems to be better. And what I really thought is I don't think they have too many warrant articles for the upcoming town meeting, because Ann has actually asked the superintendent, hey, if you want to get some money, you should put some warrant articles if there's anything you need.
Isn't it too late?
I don't know.
Deadline went by.
He just mentioned it on the the meeting. So I thought that was interesting that they're asking the schools to actually put forward warrant articles for money.
Wow.
We usually do that in the summer. Maybe it's coming in the summer, because usually the financial stuff is in the summer, and like road accept easements and stuff like that come in the fall. But it seems to be a free fall now in the town meetings.
Wow.
Anything goes.
Yeah, of course it is. They've got almost $10 million coming into the town of COVID money, and probably 4.2 of it over the next 2 years is going to be going to schools. So it's going to be very interesting to see what they're going to do with it.
We've got the CPC money constantly coming in. I haven't really seen a lot coming out of the CPC.
That's
plans.
growing. But the biggest thing is the COVID money. Don't you think that...
We might need another bathroom, though.
No, right, for $800,000.
And then, by the way, I went down to Veterans. You go down to Veterans, and the bathrooms say closed due to...
COVID.
No.
Due to lack of help.
No, it's due to because people were ransacking the bathrooms.
Oh, for crying out loud.
Really?
Yep, so we pay all this money for bathrooms, and then they're never open.
Well,
just going back to the school system real quick, I love the way they word things, right? I know you mentioned, you touched on the emotional ruler thing that they implemented at the schools. I believe they call it the mood meter, right? And they make it to be this big, fancy, emotional, caring overhaul of the school system. Do you want to know what it really is?
What is it?
The mood meter is a paper poster that is hung up in about 50% of the classrooms, where students are designed to go up and put a little piece of paper where they are on that particular day in terms of energy and pleasantness, right? Does anybody do it? No. Is it even discussed in the classroom? No.
It's all show.
It absolutely is. And, they call the guidance center at the school, they call it the Guidance Career Center, right? Or the Guidance Career Research Center. Do you know what it is?
What is it?
It's a 2-foot by 10-foot office with 2 secretaries in it.
Wow.
It's the way the school word things is just, it's hilarious.
Well, Richard, you're working on a story for the future.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. So with the COVID funding, I wanted the school system to look into one-to-one. For those of you who don't know what that is, basically the school provides a laptop for these students while they are learning at the school, and I want to see how achievable that is and if that's possible. So we'll have a report on that.
Didn't you have laptops given to you or computers
during
given to you when
COVID?
you were during COVID?
They gave us laptops. You had to go in to get one if you didn't have one at home. I don't think everybody got one because frankly I don't think there were enough for everybody.
Right.
But it seems we have a surplus of Chromebooks now, so I'll
and
do
they
that
just
report.
did get a grant. He did mention that.
Exactly.
100 and some thousand they got a grant
For
more Chromebooks.
more Chromebooks. Okay, so you're going to go look into that for us.
Yes, we're going to get a report
How
on
about the
one-to-one.
fighting issue at the school?
Right,
Has
that's
that been
another
broomed, or is
The
it
little
been
fight
taken-
club at the school.
Is it taken care of?
It's really subsided since that article that What's Happening Dracut put out.
That's right. That's right. You were the auditor.
Yes,
author
I
of
put
that,
out the
which is
article.
good.
Don't mean to toot my own horn, but toot toot.
You're going to stay on that, please. Stay on
I
that.
absolutely am. Every day this week I've seen at least 2 policemen roaming the halls. The
We're
fighting
still-
really has.
Yeah,
it's
that's
gone
good.
down.
So we're still working on the gunshot detection system, why that isn't working. And we want to get into a little bit, we got about 5 minutes left. I want to get into a little bit of national politics. And we wanted to talk about the mask mandates and the mandates that the President of the United States has been putting on to people. He's going in, he's got his Department of Labor sending out all these edicts to all these different businesses. And you got in blue states, Massachusetts being one of them, they're following suit. So we had a video about the gentleman Jonathan Isaac of the Magic.
Orlando Magic.
The Orlando Magic. Do you have that video ready?
Yeah, I do.
And this guy is so intelligent and so right on point. I wanted to show you what he had to say about it. It's a little bit long. We may cut into it, but listen to this.
That makes you hesitant to get it.
I would start with I've had COVID in the past, and so our understanding of antibodies, of natural immunity has changed a great deal from the onset of the pandemic and is still evolving. I understand that the vaccine would help if you catch COVID, and you'll be able to have less symptoms from contracting it. But with me having COVID in the past and having antibodies with my current age group and physical fitness level, it's not necessarily a fear of mine. Taking the vaccine, like I said, it would decrease my chances of having a severe reaction, but it does open me up to the, albeit rare chance, but the possibility of having an adverse reaction to the vaccine itself. I don't believe that being unvaccinated means infected, or being vaccinated means uninfected. You can still catch COVID with or without having the vaccine. I would say, honestly, the craziness of it all, in terms of not being able to say that it should be everybody's fair choice without being demeaned or talked crazy to, doesn't make one comfortable to do what said person is telling them to do. I would say that's a couple of the reasons that, I would say I'm hesitant at this time, but at the end of the day, I don't feel that it is,
Back here. So I wanted to, we'll maybe show that again. Maybe we'll put that up. Could you put that up on our webpage?
Sure, yeah.
We'll put that up on our Facebook page because it's a little bit longer and we're running out of time. But he goes on to say that he doesn't want to be criticized by it and be labeled because of him not wanting to be vaccinated. Now, I'm vaccinated and everybody on this stage here is vaccinated. So we're not anti-vaxxers and we're not anti-maskers. We follow it, but we follow it because we want to follow it, not because we're being told to follow it and led by sheep, like sheep. Now, what this gentleman goes on to say is, I'm labeled, the Democrats do this all the time. They're all saying that it's 90% of the people who are not vaccinated and that are fighting the vaccination are Republicans. That's not true.
That's BS.
And they're Trump followers. That's not true, because I'm a Trump follower, and Trump is why we have vaccines. He helped it. He's the guy that fast tracked it.
Right.
He is
Operation
vaccinated.
Warp Speed.
And he was vaccinated. And he's encouraging people to get vaccinated. But he wants you, and like me, he thinks that you have a personal choice, like that gentleman you just heard from. Right. You have a personal choice to do that.
And real quick, John, my sister, my brother-in-law, and my 4-year-old nephew, they all just contracted COVID. They wear masks. They're all vaccinated. She's very sick. He's very sick. But my 4-year-old nephew is asymptomatic. So what does that tell you about the vaccine? Does it work? Is it effective?
You're not going to get it. Some people are going to get it.
Some people are going to get it, but I really question the effectiveness of the vaccine.
The flu, you can do that. That's your right to do that. But if they're saying it's 90% effective, and the fact that there are going to be people that get very sick from it, from the COVID, getting COVID, and nothing is 100%. There's only two things that are 100%.
Death and taxes.
Death and taxes. And that's another subject we'll get on to at the next time we meet, because right now we're running out of time as usual. And I wanted to shout out to Lieutenant Colonel Stuart Schiller, who's now being jailed in a military jail because he spoke out against what happened in Afghanistan. We're going to be putting more stuff on our Facebook page. We've run out of time again, Gordy. It's so quick. The show goes by so quick. But maybe we'll start with national politics the next time. So, Richard, thanks for being here.
Absolutely.
Thank you to Moose Morosky for being here tonight. And take it away, Gordy.
Folks, as always, thanks for watching our show. We'll have more. If you have an idea for the show, send us an email at what's happening Dracut@gmail.com, or send it to our Facebook page, and we'll get right on it. And when it's Wednesday night and it's 6:30, it's What's Happening Dracut. Good night, Dracut.
Good night.